Oh yes, good evening. There's nothing that's come through. We're still waiting, so we will carry on with the meeting and see what happens. Good evening and welcome to the meeting of the Planning Committee. I am Councillor Michael Lilly, Chair of the Planning Committee, and I'll be chairing the meeting tonight. To begin the meeting, there are a few housekeeping. Action in the event of an emergency. There are no practice alarms planned for this evening, so if an alarm does sound, please evacuate the town hall by going down the main staircase or the back staircase to the High Street and then to the car park behind the town hall in St Runwald Street. This meeting is being audio live streamed to the council's webpage and will be available after the meeting, and will also be testing live streaming via YouTube as well. Please would speakers use microphones at all times and speak directly into the microphone, and would participants please mute the microphones when not speaking. Introductions. We'll now ask members of the committee and everybody else around the table to introduce themselves, starting with my left, please. Oops.
Good evening, everyone. Councillor Lynn Barton, Shrub End Ward.
Councillor Helen Chwas in Enns and St John's Ward.
Nigel Chapman, Rural North Ward.
Councillor Robert Davidson, Merzion Pyfleet Ward, substituting for Canyon.
Councillor Chris Pearson, councillor for Beerchurch.
Martin Warnes, councillor for Beerchurch.
Councillor Mike Hogg, subbing for Councillor McCarthy.
Councillor Jackie McLean, Markstown Ward.
Councillor Lee Tate, Prettygate Ward.
Martin and officers, please introduce themselves.
Good evening. Is it switched on? Can you hear me okay? Sorry, Martin Mason, Essex County Council Highways.
Nadine Calder, Principal Planning Officer.
And Simon Cairns, Development Manager. Thank you.
Robert Carmichael, Democratic Services Officer. Chair, whilst I have the floor very quickly, just to point out that Councillor Pearson is here tonight and he's been appointed to this committee as of this afternoon to replace Councillor McLean. So he's not a substitute, he's here in the right as a member of this committee from now on.
Thank you, Robert, and welcome back, Councillor Pearson.
Yes.
As if you've never been away. So members of the committee may use electronic devices to access their meeting papers, and visitors are welcome to use mobile phones and other devices, including cameras, but please use them discreetly, set them to silent, and do not use voice or camera flash functions. We may have a break at 8 o'clock subject to the items remaining, or as I said before, any news that comes through, we'll deal with that as it comes through. There are toilets on every floor in the building and an induction loop in this room. Whilst determination of a planning application is not a quasi-judicial process, unlike certain licensing functions carried out by the local authorities, it is a formal administrative process involving the application of national and local policies, reference to legislation and case law, as well as rules of procedure, rights of appeal, and an expectation that people will act reasonably and fairly. All involved in these decisions should remember that the possibility that an aggrieved party may seek a judicial review and or complain to the Ombudsman on grounds of maladministration or a breach of the authority's code. Substitutes we've heard tonight. We won't go through those again. Urgent items. Any urgent items, Rob?
No urgent items.
No,
just to confirm, there's apologies from Councillor Nissen as well.
Okay. Yeah. Item 4, declarations of interest. Any councillors with declarations of interest? Councillor Warnes, please.
Thank you, Chair. May I declare a non-pecuniary interest and make members aware that I live 2 to 3 minutes away from the application site. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? If anything comes up, you can mention it during the meeting. for that. Item 5, have your say. If anyone has a petition they wish to present to me on any of the items on the agenda this evening, please do so now. It should be noted that the public speaking arrangements have been amended to allow speakers on both applications contained in item 7.1. And we are, just to add a note that even though this is a deferred items, we will be going through the application as a whole again, because there are different members of the committee that wasn't present last time. And we think it's only fair that they get to hear the whole report rather than just ask them to defer it. So hopefully we'll do that. Item 6, minutes. The committee have before them the minutes of the meeting held on the 28th of July, 2022. Those who were there, do you agree on the minutes or do you wish to amend anything? Agreed, agreed. Everyone's Christmas. So, items tonight, applications that we received. It is as we said before, it is actually one item, but two sites. We have site A and we have site B, in more or less in the same areas there. So on 7.1, which is 213530 Land West of Peldon Road, Abberton, we have Nadine Calder presenting. We have public against Dr. Simon Dougherty and public for Andrew Ransom. And we also have a visiting councillor, Councillor John Giles. Is it ward councillor or county councillor? Ward councillor, thank you very much. And then on 7.1, 213531, land adjacent to Borley's Peldon Road, Abberton. Nadine is also presenting that one. We have no public against, and we have public for Mark Jackson via Zoom. Is he on Zoom set up for that? Excellent. Thank you very much. So now we will move on, I believe, to item 7.1 and it's 213530 now west of Peldon Road, Abberton. Nadine, if you could do your presentation, please.
Good evening, members. So as you've been informed, we've got two applications to discuss tonight. There's going to be two decisions made, hopefully, but I'll show you both applications in one presentation because they are so similar. So they're applications for land to the east and west of Peldon Road in Abberton. You can see site A is to the left of the road and site B is to the right. So site A is an application with all matters reserved, an outline application with all matters reserved for up to 50 dwellings. Sorry, the only access is the only matter that is not reserved. So outline in red is the application site. This is an outline of the existing site, which is a field with some hedges and trees along the boundaries and through the site. This slide shows you the development site. So outlined in red is the site with the green area at the bottom is proposed to be a subs feature and the remainder of the site is proposed to be for housing. As I said, the only matter that is not reserved is access. So this drawing shows you the access for cars and pedestrian. So the top picture shows the vehicular access on the right-hand side of the picture. And to the left, you can see the pedestrian access, which will be, there will be a footpath running to the north of the site, linking the development with the public right-of-way that leads towards the village and the school. And the bottom picture shows the same access, but with the southern part of the site. And this shows you the whole extent of the footpath that is proposed. So there is proposed to be a connection to the site along the western side of the road, an uncontrolled crossing roughly in the middle section of the photo. And then that footpath will connect to the public footpath and lead up further to the village. There are some photos of the existing site. So this is the existing access to the site, which will be blocked up. This shows a view northbound on Peldon Road, and it shows the boundary along the site. And these are some views of the existing fields on the site. To the north, you can see existing residential properties which bound the site to the north. The second application is, again, outline planning application for 5 dwellings on land to the east of Peldon Road. The site is outlined in red here and lies directly to the east of site A. Again, the only matter that is not reserved is access. So this drawing shows you the proposed access. And this is an indicative layout, but with all matters reserved, we would not be looking at approving this drawing today. On top of that, the council is not satisfied with the layout or the proposed dwellings. So these are to show you what was proposed, but if permission were to be granted, this would not be part of it, and these details would have to be forthcoming at the reserved matters application. Again, some photos. This is the existing dwelling that is to the south of the application site, and the boundary treatment along Peldon Road, again with the application site to the east, and further up north with residential development bounding the site again to the north. This is a photo from inside the site. And this is an overview again, just so that you know where we are. So as I said, site A is for outline application with all matters apart from access reserved for up to 50 dwellings. It is also proposed to one way or another provide additional parking facilities for the school. This can either be provided on site or on the school grounds, which you can see next to the letter B. There is Langenhope Community Primary School, and we are hoping that we can provide some parking on that site, which would free up the site A for residential development. Site B proposes 5 dwellings and a footway along from the site up to the public footpath. So these are the parameters of the applications. Since the last application, a number of changes have been made because members were worried about highway safety mainly. So as a result of that, the footway leading from the access to site B up to the public footpath is now provided, and that can be secured by a condition. There is going to be no link to the school from site B. The school did not wish to have that. So the footway will provide a pedestrian link from the site to the school as per the policy. For site A, discussions were had with the highway authority as to whether a controlled crossing can be provided, because that was the wish of members. But it was concluded that a controlled crossing could actually be less safe for reasons set out in the report. So no changes were made to the crossing and footway on site A. What has changed is that we were able to secure a financial contribution towards primary healthcare from site A. So that would, if it was approved, that would need to go in the heads of terms for the legal agreement. And for that reason, the recommendation is still as per the previous report with some small changes, which are outlined in paragraph 1.26 and 1.27 of the report. So for site A, we are proposing to include the financial contribution for primary healthcare services in the section 106. We are proposing to remove condition 31, which requires the relocation of the speed sign, because that falls outside the remit of the planning process, because that would need to be discussed with the highway authority. It needs a traffic regulation order, and that needs to be passed, so we can't impose that condition. We are also proposing, and this is a late change, so that's not in the report, to amend condition 29, which relates to the provision of a drop-off and pick-up point. And we are suggesting that this should read as follows. Prior to the commencement of the development, a scheme to provide a pick-up drop-off facility to serve the school shall be submitted and agreed in writing by the local planning authority. The scheme shall alternatively provide the facility either within the demise of the school, or if that is not possible, within the application site area. The approved scheme shall therefore thereafter be implemented prior to the occupation of the dwelling, strictly in accordance with the approved details. And this is because we are still in discussions with Essex County Council as to whether parking can be provided on that site. So that is the recommendation for site A. Site B, we have been able to include the footway from the site to the public footpath. And so we are simply proposing to amend condition 10, which requires that pedestrian link, because before it included reference to a link to the school, and that has been removed. So now condition 10 simply seeks to secure the public that footway along the eastern road of Peldon Road prior to any development commencing. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we move on to the public speakers. So public speakers against M4 have up to 3 minutes, and a bell will sound at 2 minutes. That means you have 1 minute left. Visiting councillors, if any, and they have up to 5 minutes with a bell at 4 minutes. So we will take Dr. Doughty first, please.
Thank you, Chairman. As last time, I'm speaking on both applications. Most residents of Aberdeen and Langehoe do not wish for any new houses in the village. It is recognised that some will be built, so it is our duty to make the new development as good as possible for new and existing residents. May I respectfully remind all that the adopted local plan, section 2, paragraph 6.134, states that the development will also be required to address congestion associated with Langehoe Primary School through the provision of a new drop-off pickup area outside the school. Whilst the provision of such a facility is not normally encouraged, the specific circumstances of Aberdeen and Langehoe, including its rural nature, lends itself to such a pragmatic solution. We had expected that the east site next to the school would be used for the drop-off area. However, the applications place this and up to 50 houses on the west site with 5 houses on the east site. The head of Langehoe Primary School would welcome development of a drop-off area within the school. Essex County Council notified me on the 6th of September that they would give approval to this, subject to a number of conditions yet to be agreed by officers. So the detail has not been agreed yet. If these discussions fail, and consequently this option is discarded, then the fallback position put forward by the planning officers is for 10 spaces on the west side of Peldon Road. I'm concerned that the fallback solution is not acceptable, and I wish to address this. The revised technical document has assessed the risk based on 15 children from Essex County Council figures. We do not recognise this figure. To quantify the size of the risks, 78 of 102 families, that's 80%, many with multiple children, are not resident in the village and therefore could use the west side drop-off. It is believed that the assumption of 15 children is flawed, and therefore the technical document's recommendations could be incorrect. Failing to properly quantify the risk to school children, parents, and guardians is not acceptable. The fallback drop-off is in the wrong location and is too small for the numbers who would use it. While 78 spaces would be unreasonable, more than 10 would be required to meet the current need and to satisfy the local plan concerns. Nor has any discussion been held on a pragmatic solution for a larger size fallback area, such as concrete diamond hard standing with grass, so that the area could be used for other activities when not required for drop-off. If the car park provided is too small, parents will not use it and will continue to park on the roads adjacent to the school, sustaining the difficulties experienced by the existing residents and not meeting the recommendations of the adopted local plan. So today, the work remains incomplete. It's respectfully suggested that if the fallback solution becomes the final choice, then it should be represented to the Planning Committee for scrutiny, as currently it does not meet the requirements of the adopted local plan, nor is it safe. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. And now public forum, I'll call on Andrew Ransom, please. You have 3 minutes. The bell will go after 2. As a warning. Thank you.
Good evening, councillors, and thank you for the opportunity to speak again in favour of this outline planning application for 50 dwellings on land west of Peldon Road, Abberton. My name is Andrew Ransom and I'm the planning agent acting on behalf of Mersey Homes. As you recall, the item was presented to members back in June with a recommendation for approval. Following debates, all planning matters, including the principle of development, were accepted by members with the exception of highway safety. This item was deferred to allow further investigation of highway safety.
Excuse me, sorry for interrupting you, but we've just received news on that the Queen has actually passed away. So I think that much as we hate to stop the meeting, but we feel we cannot carry on. So with that in mind, with great respect to the Queen and the family, I propose that during this meeting, there's a matter of respect for her and her family. And I'll put that to the vote to the committee that it is to end this meeting straight away, and we will have to reschedule another time. So all those in favour of adjournment? That's unanimous. So I'm ever so sorry about that, but we wish the royal family all the best in the dark days to come on this. Thank you everyone for turning up.